likes me. Nobody likes me. But that's okay, cause I don't like y'all anyway. And I don't like y'all anyway.
We need to pay attention to all this stuff. And don't muddy the waters. Don't let your mind get sidetracked. Because you need to remember that when, it's going to be time to vote again soon. So it's going to be local elections, all this stuff, everything, all these elections. You have to remember that the Republicans would rather collude with Russians than collude with Americans.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Donald Trump is a white supremacist who enables white supremacists. No lie. I mean, that's accurate. It's an accurate assessment of the situation.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Dragnets. How do they work? Just say no. Yeah. Here's the problem with just saying no. You can go about your life trying not to do drugs, but you turn on the news and you see Wigmaster over there talking about public health emergencies. That's why drugs are hard to stop. Because of people like that. Big week. It's always a big week. Can't we please have an uneventful week? That's all I want. All I want is one.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Oh, Jay, why are you wearing that resist shirt? What are you resisting? Bunch of isms and trees. Bigotry, misogyny, racism, fascism, and sexism. The people here are the people on the South Shore, in the rich neighborhoods, the richer neighborhoods, not the poor neighborhoods, are brought up on bigotry, hatred, and classification of, societal roles. Hey, yo. Who's in the house? Dyze in your house. What goes on, peeps? We are back. It is Friday. It is at or around 6 o'clock. And we are here with another action-packed edition of Dyze in your house. Coming to you live on Least Coast Radio. And you can get that on iTunes by subscribing to Least Coast Radio. Just search in the search bar. Use the podcast app. Search Least Coast Radio. Search for Dyze in your house. You can even type in J Porks. All of it's going to come up. And you can get all the action-packed editions of episodes, brand new episodes weekly of Dyze in your house. This is the pre-show, the prelude, the pregame to what is our weekly J Porks podcast, which come to you after the weekend on Monday via the Dare Network. Now, found a little life hack. Now, you might be, because the podcast is also available on YouTube. So what we do is we upload it to YouTube, and that's how it automatically goes to get into iTunes, right? So you may notice that that's a video file. And when you shut your screen off on your phone, it stops playing. Not good. Not good. But it's alright. My lovely girlfriend came up with a life hack for me. She told me that you can, if you close the screen and then all you gotta do is bring up the control panel from the bottom. If you have an iPhone, bring it up bottom, and where it says music, just hit play where like the media is, and boom, not J Porks podcast, but brand new episode of Dyze in your house in your pocket, preparing you for the long form, no background music J Porks podcast. So we're here. I gotta admit, in the terms of working in Catholic school, this week has been fairly long. It's been fairly long, but this weekend we're going to get into some fun Valentine's Day things. That's this weekend. After the weekend, we are going to get into some treasonous behavior by the Republican Party. And today, on Dyze in Your House, we are going to continue a theme that is Republicans undermining law enforcement, laws, rules, norms, all of that. So let's try to piece this all together. We're gonna piece it all together here. So what do we got? I forgot this guy's name already. Porter. So Porter We had another resignation. If you're playing cabinet bingo, if you're playing Trump cabinet bingo, and you had, what is it, Rob Porter? And if you had Rob Porter, you were correct, and you win the prize. And the prize is truth. All right, so this guy was the staff secretary, okay? Now, the staff secretary, basically, any piece of paper that gets to the president's desk goes through the staff secretary. So, he's had his hands on everything policy related, all departments. We're talking State Department. Anybody in the cabinet who has been appointed, they get their documents. It goes through this guy first. And I did not have the background music on the loop. Wow. That is a rookie mistake on my part. Okay, so Rob Porter, right? All right. Staff secretary. That's good. So he had to resign over allegations. Okay, you hear the word allegations. You think to yourself, everyone's got allegations these days, right? You know, if you're a sexist Republican, if you're a misogynist, you think, oh, you can't even say hello to a woman anymore without getting an allegation against you. No, but in all seriousness, this guy had allegations. So when you look into these allegations, it was he beat his ex-wife. I'm sorry, not ex-wife, ex-wives. Wives with an S, as in plural. He beat his ex-wives. 2 of them. 2 of them. I mean, is that not... I mean, fool me once. You know what I'm saying? And one of his ex-wives shared a picture with the FBI of her black eye that she got from him when he, beat her ass. Right? So, all White House staff gets background checks in order to get their security clearance. Because, you need security clearance because you never know when people are going to be walking in with secure stuff, classified stuff. You need security clearance. This guy did not have it, was not granted security clearance from the FBI because of the investigation into his domestic violence against his ex-wives, right? Now, especially in the Time's Up movement, this is unacceptable regardless. I don't care if it's Me Too, You Too, Time's Up. You can't beat your wife. That's not a thing you can do. You can't. First of all, I'm of the impression that you shouldn't be hitting anybody. But, if you're going to punch someone in the face, save it for Richard Spencer. And that's the end of that. You can't be hitting your wife. If you want to hit your wife, leave your wife. So, there was an FBI investigation. Not like an investigation. Not like, not Clinton emails investigation. But they looked into this. The FBI saw these pictures and denied this guy security clearance in January of 2017. So wait a second. So you mean to tell me that the White House, because there is no way that the FBI decides to not give security clearance to somebody, and, the White House chief of staff at the time, who was Reince Priebus, now John Kelly, there's no way that they don't say, hey, what happened with this? There's no way that doesn't happen. It's the White House. It's government. Right? So a year they sat on it. I don't know how the story came out. It got blasted into the news again. Because it was in the news, because it was reported. It wasn't like a secret. So we got that. And he's got to resign. And he's out. First, there was a statement from John Kelly saying that he saying that he's a great man, Rob Porter. Worked with him. Just total lies. To call someone a great man who lays hands on their wife, that's not something that is even a thing that's a thing. So this guy's out, but that's not That's not the biggest. The biggest part of it is that the statement by John Kelly and from the White House was helped crafted by Hope Hicks. Hope Hicks is the next in line to get beat up by Rob Porter because they're a thing. They're an item. Hope Hicks and Rob Porter they have a salacious relationship. And she helped craft a statement, at first not denying but not acknowledging that this guy laid hands on 2 of his wives, ex-wives. 2! It's insane to me. So, I mean, the FBI had shown these photos to the White House staff January 2017. And I mean, if they did that, then that means there's a report. And if there's a report, we need that declassified, right? It needs to be declassified. We need to know who was told about this. Because that's the age we're living in, right? Isn't it, transparency age? Isn't that what we're living? Isn't 2018 the time of where full transparency, like when Devin Nunes can write a memo without reading information about said memo? He can just write what he wants and release it, and we have to release it for full transparency, even though we shouldn't really be telling other governments how our FISA process works. We should let them find out themselves when they're in FISA court. That's the thing. The Porter memo needs to come out. Let's call it what it is. Release the Porter memo. I want to know what agents of the FBI went to Reince Priebus and told him about this, or John Kelly. John Kelly later in the year when he took over Chief of Staff. Hope Hicks was helping draft the press release defending this behavior. She's 26 or something. She was a model executive. She's not Nicole Wallace. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got Hope Hicks there, and you don't look at Hope Hicks and think, oh, wow, look, she's a go-getter. She's a real, strong, independent woman who works hard for everything. That's bullcrap. Hope Hicks is you know what Hope Hicks is? Hope Hicks is the girls at rock concerts that get photo passes because they're hot. When hot girls are all of a sudden their job is, I'm a photographer. No, you're not. You're just a moderately attractive girl with a camera. That's Hope Hicks. She's a moderately attractive. She's more than moderately attractive. Hope Hicks is a hot girl with access to Trump. That's her deal. And this is like, these are Republicans. People say what happened to the Republican Party. And I'll get more into this on Jay Pork's podcast on Monday. People say what happened to the Republican Party. They used to be the party of Lincoln, the party of values, this and that. Now they're like, now look where Trump's taking them. I disagree. Trump is the Republican Party. Whatever they were in public, what they said to your face, those were lies. Those were lies being told to constituents for political gain. And let's just call it like it is. Because look at all of the allegations that are happening in the House of Representatives on the Republican side. How many ethics investigations have happened or are happening in the Senate. How many Republican lawmakers have to pay off staff aides? You know, how many Republicans who try to fondle 14-year-old women, how many of them are they going to run? You know, this is who they are. That party of Lincoln, party of family values, Christian values thing, that was a front. Those were lies. This is who they are. They're the people that don't want immigrants. They're the people that think that people who collect money from the government are lazy. And they're the people that think that immigrants that didn't sign up for DACA are lazy. Hear John Kelly? John Kelly was describing, and listen, let's just call it like it is. When John Kelly was placed in his position of Chief of Staff, everyone thought, oh wow, this is going to be like we have an adult in the room now. Not the case. John Kelly, military man, what he did in the service, no one is saying that we do not respect him and thank him for all of his service to the country as a member of the armed services. A general, whatever he is, no one is taking that away from him. As chief of staff, he is Trump. He thinks like Trump. They were talking about the other day about how they got to how the DACA number got up to 1.8 million. So he said, well, you know, that's how many people were eligible. But a lot of people didn't sign up because, you know, maybe they were too lazy to get their asses off the couch. Too lazy to get their asses off the couch. Let me explain something to you, General Kelly. Let me explain something to you. The reason a lot of Americans are able to be lazy and not get off the couch is because people from other countries come here and do those jobs for less money, and that's called helping the economy. They don't have to go and pay some white guy $17 an hour to rake leaves because that's not feasible. And with inflation, with the way, you know, things cost more these days, you have to raise wages. And if you're not going to do that, then you have to accept the fact that you didn't want to mow lawns and you didn't want to wash dishes, so you didn't get that job. It's not because someone came from another country. It's because you, the white American, were entitled and lazy. DACA recipients are leaders in their pioneers in their field. They've never committed any crimes. And the way this administration, the way this regime looks at immigration, and I'll get into more. And listen, on the Jay Porks podcast, we're covering immigration and we're covering taxes. So we're gonna do both of those plus Russia. So we got a big episode coming up. But I'm just gonna say, like, the way this administration looks at immigration, they don't look at the person they're want to deport. They look at how many people we can deport, and the reason they do that is because they want to instill fear into the minds of undocumented immigrants. And they want to instill that fear because they want them to be afraid to commit crimes. Even though numbers show that crimes are being committed more by white Americans than anybody else. Whether it's mass shootings, whether it's, you know, drugs, all of it points to white Christians who vote Trump, who stand with the GOP. Those are the people that commit the most crimes in America. And those are the people that cost our economy the most. By sitting on their asses because they don't want to work for minimum wage. I'm not going to work for minimum wage. Me? I'm going to work for minimum wage like everybody else. I would never do that. Well, and that's why you sit home with your red trucker hat watching Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity on Trump TV. With your fine programmed from the Oval Office. All right. I want to expound on both of those topics. More secret society stuff is coming out. But we're going to do that on Monday. This is a 20-minute podcast. We have a cap. Unlike Republicans with their spending bill, they don't mind spending. They just mind when you need to spend money to help brown people or poor people or moms. But I will say this. Shout outs to Nancy Pelosi. Because she, it's not a filibuster because you don't filibuster in the House. It's not a thing anymore. So the people that are calling it a filibuster, that it's not a filibuster. It's been outlawed since the 1800s, or 1909 possibly. She gave an 8-hour talkathon. She went from like 10 a.m. called the Magic Minute. The Magic Minute is where the House leader can, not the House, the minority or the majority leader, I think it's minority leader, can go for as long as they want and not yield, basically. They can go more than a minute, but it's called the minute. Went for 8 hours. 8 hours. Ended about 6 o'clock. Went from 10 o'clock. Standing ovation. Did not go to the bathroom. Now that's cool. But was that grandstanding? Because did she whip the other Dems into voting with her? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out on Monday on the Jay Porks podcast. Jay Porks, Dyze in your house.